Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And it's morning where I am. Good evening to you if you're joining from Africa. Most of us will be joining from Africa, actually. So I'm saying good evening to you and good afternoon if you're joining from another part of the world as well. We've got quite a number of people, 14. I know people will be trying to join going forward, but we will just start with the introduction. We start with introduction and we take it from there. First of all, I hope you can see my screen. Let me just know if you can see. That is good. That is good. As I am really introducing, please, if you can drop in the chat where you're joining us from, that would be great. And this is Pete from Melbourne, Australia. Okay, let me lead the way there. Let's say I'm from Melbourne, and it's 5:05 a.m. My time at the moment. Thank you, Mary, from Kent, UK. Of course, Connecticut, US. That's Patrick. Thank you. Let it keep coming while I introduce. Oh, Sweden. Thank you for joining Show from Germany. Oh, the Europeans are taking the place today. Thank you, Olusegun. And of course, Iran. Vaid, thanks for joining. And Abuja, Nigeria. Pamela, good day to you from Kent as well. It's been a while, Pamela. All right, thank you for joining. So let's keep it coming and then we will just start right away. All right, welcome to the Africa Disciplined Agile Meetup. We try to meet every month where we bring different speakers, industry leaders, especially Africans to you so that we can collaborate and also talk. And I can see that, Lillian is joining us from Kenya as well. Thank you for joining. So, like I said, it is a group that is committed to promoting the real value of lean and agile practices, and most likely based on the freedom that discipline agile promises. We particularly do not restrict ourselves to some of the principles of discipline agile, but everything that is agile. So we target individuals and organizations in Africa, everyone that has the interest to develop their agile and lean practices. You're welcome to attend. So please, you can always invite your friends, your family members, or your workmates as well. Any information that we think will be useful for us, we bring that on board. All right, and this is brought to you by, Pete Lauren Consulting, we're Project Management Institute Authorized Training Partner. We can always work with you. If you're in Kenya, this September, I'll be there. So just say hello. We can always catch up for a coffee or, have a catch up if you are there. Look up me and I'll be there. I'll be happy to have a face-to-face chat with a community member. Let's see how that goes. All right, today we will be, we have the honor of, listening and learning from Mary Lanier. Mary is one person that I really respect so much. And I'll quickly do an introduction and then we hand over straight to Mary because of time. So Mary Lanier is an enterprise agile coach. She's a trainer. She's a SAFe program consultant and a DevOps coach. She has over 25 years of experience, in technology and business change, of course, in professional and entrepreneurial experience as well. She facilitates businesses and transformations from, traditional hierarchies and structures to more agile and nimble enterprises for responsiveness and competitiveness. She has and continues to work with Fortune 500 organizations globally. She also partners with leaders to facilitate sustained change and mitigate slow-moving bureaucracies by helping them to see organization or their organization through a new systemic lens. There's the interesting bit. She hosts a weekly online podcast, Sincerely Agile with Mary. It was an honor for me to be on that show, and it was really a good time for me, and it continues to be a good time with Sincerely Agile with Mary. So if you are not on that show, man, you're missing out. Please look out for it, and please join Mary anytime she has that. All right. She seeks to amplify the importance and benefit of learning and unlearning on that show. She walks the talk, and I can attest to that, by constantly investing in personal and professional development to better serve the Agile community and ultimately humanity at large. And that last statement is why she's here today, to better serve the Agile community. So we do not take this for granted. So thank you so much, Mary, for joining us today. Without wasting much more time, let's go into today's event, and we'll be talking about team working agreements. Team working agreements. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you very much, Pete. And thank you for all you're doing also for the community. What you're doing is not different from what I'm doing. So we are all in this together. We are all in it together. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We started by listening to Shakira music, this time for Africa, right? And this is the only way we can bring Africa back, through knowledge. So it's not by accident that we're here. This is where we need to be found. Okay, so let me share my screen. So let me know if share. Okay.
Yep, it's come up.
Okay, I think it's come up now. So let me go to the next screen. Okay, so today we're looking at team working agreements. I want to get straight into it now. And you will find that there are several synonyms out there for team working agreements. You can hear team contract, social contract, team norms, team alliance, team rules of engagement, team ground rules, team collaboration guidelines. It could be any of these, but they really mean the same thing. The whole objective here is to say, okay, if we're coming together as a team to work collaboratively, what are the rules of engagement? How do we want to be together? Because without that, we could be going in all different directions. So these are some of the synonyms for team working agreement. So what are the objectives for today? I think this is quite, straight to the point, to create awareness of the importance of working agreements, understand the benefits of having a working agreement, to be armed with the knowledge to create a working agreement, because this is not just one of those sessions where we are meeting just for the sake of it. We want you to be able to go away and be able to apply that knowledge, because obviously we learn better by doing. So, transformation failure rate. There are so many reports out there about transformation failure rate. Several sources report that this could be anything from 50, 60, 75%, failure rate. My question to you today is why? So I'm going to pause for a minute, and I want you to give me your responses in the chat. Why do you think transformations are failing? Be it agile transformation, be it digital transformation, why is it failing? If I can have your responses in the chat, please. I'm looking at the chat. Why do you think transformations are failing? Why? Any response, anyone? Okay. Acceptance is lack of common goal, yes. Lack of common goal, mostly as a result of how the team was created. I like that. Unclear direction, I like that. Many stakeholders are not carried along, absolutely. I love those answers already. Thank you very much. poor planning and understanding, lack of stakeholder participation. Absolutely. Fantastic responses there. Lack of poor onboarding, miscommunication. Yes, miscommunication. That's a good one too. Thank you very much. I like that. Unmet expectation. Said and unsaid. Unmet expectations, said and unsaid. That's correct. No embrace change. Fear. Okay, thank you very much. Great responses there. I love those answers, so I'm going to crack on. Thank you. Now, one of the reasons also that it is failing is because we are operating in a VUCA environment. When we say we're operating in a VUCA environment, we're saying we're operating in an environment that is volatile, that is uncertain, that is complex, and that is ambiguous. Okay? And for the most part, we are still trying to operate in this complex environment as though we are still in the era, if you like, of stability, in the era where things were relatively stable. So it is not working because it's a VUCA environment. And when we talk about volatility, we need to start thinking about vision. Where exactly are we heading so that we can continue to look at making sure that we're heading in the right direction to achieve our vision. When we talk about uncertainty, we need to understand exactly what it is we want to achieve. And that is why we can't afford to, show up thinking we can predict what is going to happen tomorrow, in a week's time, or even in 3 months' time. So we must seek to understand what is happening around us. Complexity, we need clarity. Given that we're operating in a complex environment, we need to seek clarity to make sure we are not wasting our resources. And ambiguity, because the environment is so ambiguous, that is why we need agility. That is why we need to be able to inspect and adapt so that we can be responsive to the changes in front of us. So thank you for those responses. And as you can see, operating in a VUCA environment, we can't but really understand what it is we want to achieve. And having that team working agreement, it's one of the ways we can achieve this, just one of several ways. So my first question to you, and well, my second question to you, have you fallen in the trap of expectation without agreement? Now, when I asked the question earlier on, somebody said unmet expectations. So that got me smiling. So again, let's go back to the chat. Have you fallen in the trap of expectation without agreement? Let me have your answers quickly, please. Thank you. So I'm just going to open the chat so I can see your responses. Someone said so many times in the early days. I like that. Yes, Oyinlola says yes, absolutely. Yes, indeed, from Patrick. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you very much. Now, we have all fallen into this trap. I have certainly, please mute yourself if you're not talking right now so that we don't have background noise. I have also certainly fallen into that trap of expectation without agreement. And what happens when we do that? We are also contributing to the frustration we are experiencing. Now, when you are expecting something and you haven't exactly agreed, you will get frustrated. But guess what? You are part of the cause of that frustration. Okay? Because you're expecting something when there hasn't been any prior agreement. And when that happens, we get frustrated. We get seriously, disappointed. So that is why we're looking at team working agreement. Now, we're going to engage in a small activity right now, and this is the activity. I want us to get interactive with this. So let's look at complexity from a personal perspective. I need that. Let me just escape here for a minute and get the Miro link. Pete, do you have the Miro link as well?
I'll help you with that. I'll drop it in the chat.
Oh, okay. So please drop that in the chat.
Yes.
So I can go back to, okay.
Yeah.
So now this is what I want us to do. Can you still see my screen? I'm sharing my Miro board now.
Yes.
Fantastic. Now I want us to get onto that Miro board once Pete shares that link. And what I want us to do is to pick a Post-it note. I want us to go into Can you please mute yourself? Mute yourself if you're not talking. Pete, I need you to create 2 breakout rooms. Did you do that already?
Yeah, I'm just doing that now.
Okay. Create 2 breakout rooms and put people in those 2 breakout rooms. And group 1 will go into student accommodation. one group will do the student accommodation and another group will do the newly married.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, once you describe, I will just open the rooms.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So this is what I want you to do. When you go into those breakout rooms, breakout room 1, I want you to look at student accommodation, and breakout room 2, I want you to look at newly married. Now, what is the assignment? This is the assignment, scenario 1. I can actually copy that and put it on the board as well. So scenario 1, just one second. First scenario, you have just moved into a 4-bed student accommodation with shared communal spaces like the kitchen and living area. What are the potential conflicts here? Scenario 2, you recently got married. What are the potential conflicts here? Okay, so please split the participants into 2 breakout rooms and let's get cracking with that.
All right, thank you. Hello, Ibrahima and Augustine. You can join the breakout rooms as well. I know it could be tricky if you are on a mobile. Okay, cool. Ibrahima, I think you are in breakout room 1. I Shitu Musa. People are in breakout room. I'll just move you to one of the breakout rooms.
Good
Okay.
evening.
Good evening. I'll move you to one of the breakout rooms. Okay.
quickly when, okay, how we can easily get into conflict situations when there has been no prior agreement. And of course, one of the frustrations you will get here is that you are expecting a certain kind of behavior from each other, but there has been no agreement. There has been no agreement, but you're expecting a certain kind of behavior from one another. So let me go back to my slide. So thank you all for getting into those breakout rooms and participating here. So I'm going to go back to my slides. Can you see my slides now, Pete?
Not yet.
I think I need to share. I need to share again, right?
Yes, you need to share it after.
Okay, let me share again. Okay, so now I am sharing again. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. So we have just done that activity and we could see the potential conflicts there. Now, this is because expectation without agreement is a one-way street, okay? I'm expecting something, but there is no communication, there's no conversation, okay? And it might now, evolve into a kind of command and control mindset where somebody is trying to exert their power over the other. And it will lead to resentment. It will lead to conflict. It will lead to anxiety. If you're living in that kind of environment, you will become anxious. And it might even affect your education. And if it's in the workplace, it will affect your performance. And when I asked the question earlier on about why are transformations failing, someone said communication. And I love this quote about communication. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Mm-hmm. It is an illusion you are expecting without prior agreement. So that is why a working agreement, especially in a in any context, in any social context, is extremely important. So now talking about working agreement in any social context, let's take ourselves back to basics, back to the Agile and Scrum values. I've just taken out the first value of the manifesto here. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Like I just said, an illusion that, the communication has taken place. It is so important for us to engage in a conversation. It is so important for us not to walk based on assumptions, okay? That is why that first value of the manifesto, it doesn't matter which angle you're trying to come from, somehow you will always come back to that first value. It is so profound. And if we look at the Scrum values as well, focus, respect, openness, commitment, courage. If you're a member of that, 4-bedroom apartment for students, at some point, somebody has to have the courage to step forward to say, this isn't working. We need to do something about it. There's something we should have done at the beginning that we didn't do, but it's never too late. Let's come up with an agreement. And once we have that agreement, we must be committed to that agreement. And it's about being open so that we can actually give our perspective about what this agreement should look like. And there must be respect for one another. And we must have focus on how we want to be as a member of this, 4-bedroom accommodation, of this student accommodation. So as you can see, the Agile Manifesto and Scrum values will help us to thrive in this complex environment in which we have found ourselves. So moving on swiftly, talking about teamwork in agreement, let's define a team. I like this definition. A group of people with a full set of complementary skills required to complete a task, job, or project. Complementary skills. So which means you have brought these people together intentionally. So if you have brought these people together intentionally to achieve a common goal, then it will be, wrong not to then find the best way to make sure that we bring out the best in all of them in order for them to achieve that common purpose, okay? And that is why that team working agreement becomes very, very important. So let's define a working agreement. A working agreement are guidelines co-created by the team for the team. It spells out how to behave, communicate, and work together as a team to achieve high productivity, mutual understanding, and peaceful collaboration. Now, the word co-created is extremely important here. This is not something a manager somewhere will create for you and say, here you go, team, follow this rule, whether you like it or not. It will not work. It is co-created by the team for the team, okay? And it spells out, behaviors, how we want to be together. What are the benefits of having a team agreement? It is explicit. We spell it out. And as a result of that, we have less conflict, we have alignment and focus, we become more productive, we create a positive and happy atmosphere. I don't think there's anyone here who doesn't want to wake up on a Monday morning and feel good about their place of work. We all want to go to a place of work that is not hostile, that is not toxic. A sense of ownership, high social capital, okay? High quality deliverables, because we are able to leverage our collective intelligence. And then we set the groundwork for psychological safety. That is what we do when we do this. When we create a team working agreement, we set the groundwork to build upon for psychological safety. So as you can see, it is very, very important. Are we doing good for time?
Yes, we are okay. We are
okay. Cool. So as you can see, these are great benefits. Like I said, there's no confusion about it because we explicitly state how we want to be explicitly, okay? And more importantly, we create high social capital. And where you have high social capital will definitely be a positive environment, a highly energized environment, an environment of high productivity because you can be vulnerable. You can be vulnerable. Now, collective intelligence, that is so important because we're working in a very complex environment. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody. And if we create a toxic environment, people will shut down.
Yep.
People will shut down. People will not give their best, okay? People will feel, they are not valued, So this is so important, setting the groundwork for psychological safety. So when do we create a working agreement? It is instructive to create one when you're kicking off a team. Instructive to create one when you're kicking off a team because, as we all know, when you set up a team, we go through this formative, process of team formation, right? What are they again? Norming, storming, forming, and all of that.
Tuckman model, yeah.
The Tuckman model, absolutely. Now, whether we like it or not, teams will go through those phases. But when you kick off with a working agreement, it will help you go through those phases in a less, with less friction, if I can put it that way. So team formation is a great time to create one. And of course, at any time when we deem it necessary. So take, for example, you've just had a retrospective and you feel, excuse me, I think I'm coming down with some cold. You've just had a retrospective and something seems to not be right. That could trigger the need for you to revisit a working agreement you created earlier, or maybe you didn't have one at all, and that might trigger the need for a working agreement, okay? I'm going to pause at some point so that if you have questions, you can ask. So you can come up with create a working agreement at the beginning of your team formation or at any time when deemed necessary. And this might often be triggered due to some of the issues that may come up during a retrospective. And more importantly, it is not cast in marble. It should be revisited given our complex environment. So the working agreement we created 6 months ago may not serve us 6 months later. It may not, okay? Because things are constantly changing. And even we as team members, we're also evolving. So just because you created a team agreement in January when you joined the team, doesn't mean that is it. And another question you need to ask yourself is it out of sight? Are we reminded from time to time of our working agreement? Is it something we see? I mean, I know we are all working remotely these days. I mean, gone are the days when most of us were in the office. We would stick it in our team area where we sit. We'll print it out and stick it there so that it's constantly in our faces. Okay, but today that we're working remotely, we can put it on our mural board, a board that we use frequently so that it's there in our, as a constant reminder. So I'm going to pause here for a minute to see if we have any questions or even any comment in the chat section. Any questions at this point? Feel free to ask. Have you ever created a team agreement? Have you found that you were in a retrospective and some people issues cropped up and you didn't quite know how to deal with it? Have you created one and you haven't revisited the one you created for a long time? Let's hear from you.
All right, feel free to share your stories. If you have created one, that would be good. Okay. All right, Olufunsha just sent something into the chat box.
Yeah, I'm reading that. Yeah.
Okay. While you're reading, I can quickly share a couple of stories or one or two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I learned that over time, the team, working agreement, it's not optional. It's actually very, very important. I've run that for at the team level and also at the enterprise level, and it performs wonders. I can just imagine that C-level executives in organizations as well, working together as a team, they also need team agreement. And I carried out one in one of the organizations I work with a couple of years ago. You need to see how the performance move because they are more accountable. The chaotic strategic sessions that they have changed because they now know why they prioritize those big initiatives based on their vision. And that was because they agreed. And of course, there is a word that you used earlier, which is co-creation. It is not the head of that will create it. It is not the manager. It is not the team lead. It is every single person. It is more like the 10 commandments, if you say, of the team. And I'll say I will not support. No, I will not coach a team without telling them to say, guys, let's create our team agreement. And after that, regularly visit to see if anything is changed, if it needs to be updated.
Absolutely. Olufunsho, let me address what you just said there. I think you're saying here that different parts of the organization may have different team agreements. Absolutely. I mean, even within an organization, let's even look at things from the cultural point of view. Within an organization, we talk about organizational culture, right? But imagine the marketing department, imagine the sales department, finance department. They can also have a subculture within that wider organizational culture, right? So you have several teams within the organization, okay? So you will find that within an organization, all these various teams must have their own working agreement. So within marketing, let us assume you have 3 teams within marketing. You can have 3 working agreements within marketing. So you have team A, team B, and team C. Each team should have their own working agreement as a team. Remember, we are calling it a team working agreement. However, the marketing department can also have a departmental working agreement because those teams will have dependencies. They will have to work together to achieve the marketing objective. So at the departmental level, you can also have a working agreement. I hope that makes sense. Okay. And then, of course, like I said before, you have to revisit those agreements. I'm just looking at the other screen here. Okay. The key is for all goals to be aligned with the overall objective. Well, now you're talking about the goals. Yes. But in order for us to achieve the goals that aligns to the overall objectives, now you're going into, objectives and key results or strategic priorities. In order for that to happen efficiently, you need a high-performing team. And in order for a high-performing team to do just that, you need a team that, has positive energy and positive environment that can work well together. Okay, I hope that answers your comment. I hope you are aligned with that comment, Patrick. And then Olufunsho says, thank you. How do you convince a team that does not see the benefit of a working agreement? Well, this is the beauty of it. Conflicts will come up. Conflicts will come up. When those conflicts come up, then you can, it's a coaching opportunity for you. It's an opportunity for you to say, it looks like, you know, we are expecting stuff here without an agreement. Maybe it is time we start putting a working agreement together collectively. So those problems will come up. And when they do come up, that is your chance as a Scrum Master or as a coach, if one does not exist already. And I can really resonate with that comment you have just made. I think that was Joy. Because you see, when it comes to the people side of things, a lot of people shy away from it. People want to focus on the tools and procedures and strategy. When it comes to all this soft people stuff, people want to shy away from it because, you know, people may feel uncomfortable with things like this. But as a coach, as a Scrum Master, you need to let them see the benefit of it, okay? Okay, let's move on. Working agreements are very beneficial. It should address behavior. Yes, it does address behaviors, absolutely. It addresses behaviors. So let me go back to my slides, right? So where was I? Just a second. Okay, there you go. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sample.
So now this is what a sample working agreement looks like. It's very simple and it will slightly vary depending on the nature of the team, depending on the work you're supposed to be doing. But what is important for you to know, whether you call it co-author or co-creation, it is created by the team for the team. Some people also talk about designing a team alliance. And like I said before, keep it visible and active. And we are all responsible here. So when we're creating a team working agreement, what are the things we want to think about? What culture do we want to create? Okay. I like what Timothy Clark said about culture. Timothy Clark said, if you don't create your culture intentionally, in other words, if you don't design your culture intentionally, then a culture, as in a culture, will emerge. A culture will emerge by default, and you may not like it. Okay? You may not like it. So one of the ways you can begin to drive the kind of culture that you want, that you desire as a team, is to intentionally create that culture as opposed to one emerging by default. And one of the ways we can begin to drive the right culture is to have a working agreement. What values do we want to promote within this team, whether it's a team agreement or a departmental agreement? How do we want to be when things get difficult? What will help us thrive as a team? How can we continue to innovate? If you are in an environment where things are moving at the speed of light, you really want to consider innovation as part of your working agreement. How do you want to continuously learn so that you can innovate? How can we have fun as a team? After all, it can't all just be work and no play. How can we come into a work environment where we are doing the best we can, but we're also having fun while doing that? So I would want us to then move on to our last activity for the day, which is we're going to go back to that Miro board. Pete, I want you to take them back to the Miro board. Now, this time, how many people do we have now? Let's create
33. Three
yeah,
rooms,
let's
right?
create. Yeah, let's create 3 rooms.
So
So in
will
these
we-
3 rooms, when you get into the Miro board, room 1 will be group 1, room 2 will be group 2. Let me share my Miro board so you can see. Can you see my Miro board now?
Yes.
Okay, so when you come onto the Miro board, if you are breakout room 1, go to group 1. If you're breakout room 2, group 2, and so on and so forth. Now, this is what I want you to do. Create a working agreement as a new team lead. When you go into that room, I want you all to come together and imagine you're a new team lead or you're a team member. Forget the team lead. You're just you're a member of a team, and you need to create a team working agreement. Let us assume you are group 1. Can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, group 1, you are part of a marketing team. I'll put that there. You're part of a marketing team, right? So I'll put marketing there. Group 2, you're a technology team. Group 2 is a technology team. Group 2 is a technology team, yeah, tech team. And then group 3 is sales team. Group 3 is a sales team. Thank you. Group 3 is a sales team. Okay, so your your team members, I want you to now come together and create your working agreement. Please send them to their
How long are we using in this one?
How much time have we got left? 7 minutes.
Yes, 7 minutes. Okay, good.
I'm going to put a timer on.
All right, that's fine. All right, you're going to
7 minutes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone.
7 minutes is good. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So this is the marketing team.
Priska and Samuel, you should be in the breakout room. Let me see where you are.
We're using 3 rooms.
Yeah, 3 rooms. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ibrahima, you should be in room 3. Priska should be in room 1. Who else? There's one more, Samuel.
Did you do automatic assignment?
Yes, I did automatic.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's fine. Mary. Okay.
I'm going to join the rooms. I'll join the rooms.
Yeah, just before you join, let me just quickly pause the recording.
Okay. Let me thank you all. Thank you. Can you see my screen? Maybe I need to share again.
You need to share.
You need to share again. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sharing again. So hopefully you can see my screen. Can you?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So as you can see, when we started, we talked about potential conflict in a student accommodation. We talked about potential conflict, in a newlywed environment. And that is happening because there was no prior agreement. So if you look at all the conflict here within this student accommodation and look at the potential conflict with a newly married couple, they can easily have avoided that if they had an agreement. So when we talk about team working agreement, it's not just team working agreement when you are working with Total or you're working with Shell. When you get married, you better know that you're a team. Okay? When you get married, you're a team. And you need to have that working agreement. How do we want to be as husband and wife? A lot of us missed that opportunity. We just got married. I love you, and that was it. And then 2 years later, everything is hitting the rocks, not because you don't love each other, but because you have not been intentional about how you want to coexist. You enter a student accommodation, any kind of relationship. Let me tell you something. Not only do we live in a complex environment and work in a complex environment, human beings are complex. Human beings are complex. If you live alone in a room, okay, you don't have a roommate or you don't have a flatmate, you can perhaps do your cleaning whenever you want. Okay, you can do everything on your own terms. But the moment there's a second person in the equation, the complexity is exponential. Okay, already by yourself, you're already complex. Bring another person into the equation, the complexity is exponential. I don't know what you're thinking, you don't know what I'm thinking. I can't be expecting stuff from you when we have not agreed, when we have no prior agreement. It becomes rather complex. Okay, the way we see things differ. Okay, our value systems are totally different. Okay, our cultures are perhaps totally different. So there's already, several variables that will lead to some kind of friction or the other. So I cannot overemphasize enough. Okay, where 2 or 3 are gathered, we need a working agreement. Okay, this is where I am going to stop. Thank you all very much for your participation.
Oh my God, this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Every time I have the honors of really be in your session, whether a community session like this or we are planning for the next big thing together, I always like, yeah, wow, and you have done justice to here today as well. Thank you thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have just about 2 minutes before the hour.
Maybe there are any questions.
If you have any questions, last minute question, please let it come. But before that comes around, I want to tell you that if you are in a team and you don't have a team agreement, please get one now. You don't want to be the one to be putting off fire, right? You don't have to be the one that will start the fire. Someone will start the fire. If it gets out of control, then you turn it to a fire brigade or fire service. Before the fire.
I like what Pete, sorry to interrupt you. I want to amplify what Pamela said.
Yes.
Working agreement is not necessarily about avoiding conflict, but how to deal with it when it arises. I absolutely love that. Yep. Because there will always be conflict. But how can we manage it? Now, if there's a conflict, the working agreement will guide us. Because remember, one of the questions we ask is, how do we want to be?
Sure.
Okay. When things get difficult, how do we want to be? Do we want to come out and fight, or do we want to sit down together and talk like civilized people and listen to each other's perspective and give, the floor to each other's voice? Okay. So it's about knowing how to manage that conflict to our benefit, because conflict is not always a bad thing. Yeah. Conflict, because of conflict, we have innovation, as a matter of fact. So thank you, Pamela, for bringing that up. Thank you.
100%, 100%. And Pamela, thanks for joining. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to also, relate with you. There is a question from Joy. Is working agreement only useful in an agile environment?
Useful in a marriage, like I just said. We live in a complex environment. Look, with your children.
That's it.
With your children, you need an agreement. You need to negotiate with them. You get to a point with your children, you can't do command and control with them anymore. Yep. You have to negotiate with them. If you do this, then I will do this, so that nobody gets disappointed, right?
Yeah. And again, it is not. It doesn't have to be formal. Actually, it doesn't, because when it becomes formal, people will shy away, and that is it. Informal agreement with your children, with your partner, with your wife, with your husband, with your family, with your teammates. That's where people come out and see themselves as individuals, and what works for everyone. Okay, cool. Many scenarios, definitely. Pamela, can you share your file? This video will be shared. Watch out for an email. There is a link to where it is. The video or the recording will be shared, and the PDF can be shared too, right, Mary?
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
The PDF for the mural, I will share it with you. All
right, cool. Okay. So don't worry about it. We will do that. We will do that. Thank you. I'm looking at the time now, right? Now, one thing, my parting shot is, there is a lot we can learn from each other. We are learning, and you are learning too. Please connect with us, Pamela, Mary, Patrick, Taiwo, myself on LinkedIn. Let's continue to collaborate. More importantly, we try to come up every month, at least once a month, to bring practical, sessions like these to you, right? Just show up. And then we can have amazing 1 hour, and then you can practicalize, you can experiment in your team and see the good thing. These are very simple, only if you take a step. If you don't take a step, they are very difficult. So I'll end with this. What is easy to do is also easy not to do. The choice is yours. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for really joining us today. I hope to see you next time. And for all the 31 or 33 people that joined today, thank you. I hope to see you next month. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye. It's been a pleasure being with you here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Very nice session. Thanks, Pete. Great work.
Bye.